Between January 2012 and April 2014, members of the Hit Squad, a subset of the San Diego 5'9" Brim gang, went on a revenge-killing spree following the murder of an O.G Blood member, Dereck Peppers. This series of revenge killings not only targeted their ops, but tragically resulted in the deaths of innocent people. Members of the Hit Squad frequently boasted on social media about their crimes and endorsed killing their rivals online. In today's video, we will be focusing on the rivalry between the Hit Squad and the Crips, specifically the neighborhood Crips and West Coast Crips. The Blood Street Gang has gained a reputation as one of the most violent and infamous criminal organizations in the United States, expanding its reach from coast to coast. Blood members, who are estimated between 15,000 and 20,000 nationally, engage in murder, assault, robbery, and drug distribution. The Bloods were formed with the intention of fighting against the Crips, who were becoming increasingly powerful. Several local gangs refused to join the Crips or submit to their takeover of their neighborhood, and so they formed an anti-Crip alliance. This alliance consisted of the Piru Street Boys, the LA Brims, the Denver Lanes, the Inglewood Family, the Swans, and the Pueblo Bishops. They began referring to each other as Blood, and this led to the collective groups becoming known as the Bloods. Gang sets are typically specific groups or factions within a larger gang organization. The structure of blood sets varies widely, and each blood set operates under distinct rules, codes, alliances, and rivalries. The San Diego 5'9" Brim gang is a blood set and consists of approximately 200 to 220 members. Within the gang, there are various cliques, such as Tiny Hit Squad and Young Hit Squad, and because there was a lot of crossovers between those subsets, they eventually merged and were collectively known as the Hit Squad. The Brim gang's main ops are the Crip gangs, particularly the neighborhood Crips and West Coast Crips. Brim gang members, similar to other blood gangs, identify with the color red, while Crips gang members typically wear blue. Gang members put in work for the gang by going on missions such as burglaries, robberies, and shootings. In the case of shootings specifically, gang members will go into the rival gang's territory to find targets. If the intended target is not found, they may look for substitutes, often looking for individuals wearing the colors associated with the rival gang. When one gang is targeted by a rival gang, retaliation is expected to maintain respect and to deter further attacks. Failure to retaliate could be seen as a sign of weakness, potentially attracting more trouble from other gangs. Additionally, sharing of weapons, especially guns, among gang members is common. Blood gang members will usually replace the letter C with a B or place the letter K after the letter C. The letter K after the letter C refers to Crip killer. Brim gang members, including the Hit Squad, used social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram to provoke and disrespect their ops and openly brag about their violence. On April 11, 2011, Dereck Peppers, a well-known and respected member of the Brim gang, who was known as an OG, was fatally shot in a drive-by shooting in San Diego in Brim territory. Law enforcement suspected that a rival member of the Crips gang was responsible for Dereck's murder. In response to this murder, the Brim gang declared war on rival Crips gangs, leading to a spike in gang-related shootings that resulted in multiple injuries and deaths in the early 2010s. Over the next 2.5 years, there were 13 documented shootings attributed to the Brim gang stemming from this feud. On April 17, 2011, just 6 days after the murder of Dereck Peppers, Hit Squad members Deontay Simpson and Lamont Holman, along with Callie Beasley and Jennifer Whitmer, drove in a tan Chevy Lumina through Crip territory. They were on a mission to hunt Crip gang members. Deontay, armed with a long rifle-style gun, was sitting in the rear passenger side seat next to Callie. Lamont was in the front passenger seat while Jennifer was driving. During their drive, they saw Cordell King, a member of the East Dago Crips, who was dressed in all blue. Deontay said, "I see a crab right there." A crab is a derogatory term for a Crip member. Witnesses reported shots being fired at Cordell from the car as it passed by him, causing him to fall to the ground. The car came to a stop, and Deontay left the car with his weapon and shot. The car then quickly sped away. A witness who heard the gunfire and saw Cordell on the ground yelled out to him, asking him if he was okay, but received no response. Callie testified and said that there was excitement in the car, with Deontay saying, "Now that is how you kill a crab." And both Deontay and Jennifer celebrating, saying, "We just got our first CK. We got a crab." That's for Fat Ocean. Fat Ocean was Dereck Peppers. They later made a stop during the drive, where Deontay put the gun in the trunk of the car after changing seats. Later, they arrived at a friend's place where Lamont put a handgun into the trunk alongside the long gun. Deontay then retrieved both guns from the trunk and brought them inside the friend's home. Jennifer asked her girlfriend to clean the car they used and later described the shooting to her, implicating Deontay, Callie, and another individual, along with details about the vehicle involved. She also told her that they used two guns, a big one and a small one. Her girlfriend ended up cooperating with the police and testifying. After police arrived to the scene of the crime, Cordell was found dead with gunshot wounds to his head, torso, and buttocks. The wounds on his torso and head had a downward trajectory. Law enforcement noted that Cordell's clothing and tattoos hinted at him being involved with a gang. Two .45 caliber cartridge cases were discovered at the scene, along with bullet fragments from a different gun which was not a .45 caliber. Deontay used to have cornrows before Cordell's murder, and after Cordell got killed, he let Jennifer cut his hair because, quote, of what had happened. Police monitored Dereck Peppers' wake on April 20th, 2011. A tan Chevy Lumina, which was parked a block and a half from the wake, caught their attention due to a missing front driver's side hubcap. Upon investigation, law enforcement discovered that the vehicle was registered to a hit squad gang member, who happened to be Callie's boyfriend at that time. The gun used in the murder was later found by police following a separate shooting, which we will detail later on in the video. On June 14, 2011, 5 hit squad members, including Deontay Simpson, Brandon Orchard, Edward Paris, and Maurice Chavari, were hanging out in front of Brandon's home, which was just blocks down the street from where Cordell King was murdered. 2 men whom they knew to be Crip's gang members walked up the street, and the hit squad gang members confronted them. They exchanged a few words, and Edward and Brandon started throwing up gang signs. As the 2 Crip gang members started to walk away, Deontay pulled out his gun, said "F*** crabs," and fired shots at them. The 2 Crips fled, and Deontay gave the gun to Brandon, who then hid it in his garage. The 2 Crips did not get hit. The police eventually learned that the group involved in the shooting might be inside Brandon's apartment. When the officers got there, they spoke with Brandon and Edward. In a subsequent search of the apartment, officers found Maurice hiding under a pile of clothes and Deontay and hit squad member Damonte Lucas hiding in the unfinished attic of the apartment. The police officers gave Deontay certain commands, however, he did not comply with them, and ended up getting pepper sprayed. In response, he told the officers, "F*** you." At that point, Deontay's foot went through the drywall, and the officers below pulled him through the ceiling and took him into custody. Officers found a loaded revolver wrapped in a red bandana about a foot away from Deontay's hiding spot in the attic. In the garage, officers found Brim gang graffiti, including the numbers 311, a coded reference to Crip Killer, as C is the 3rd letter of the alphabet, and K is the 11th letter. Additionally, various gang nicknames were scrawled on the walls, such as Baby Dell for Edward Laplanche, Reese Bow for Maurice Chavari, CK Vic for Victor Ware, and Baby Black Mikey for Nicholas Hoskins. In the garage, there was also a loaded .45 caliber semi-automatic gun, which was hidden in the ceiling. The officers found 2 expended .45 caliber shell casings in a neighbor's front yard and a bullet down the street. Through ballistics tests, the police were able to link the gun to the June 14th shooting and the Cordell King murder. Deontay and Damonte were placed in the back of a patrol car by the police, and they had a conversation which was recorded. Damonte said that the police have not found the other one, and Deontay told him to shut up and explained to him why they were both placed in the patrol car together. When Damonte later stated that they found the second one, Deontay said on Brims, asking him to swear on the gang that the police had found both guns. Deontay further stated, "I got life," which the police interpreted as an acknowledgement that he knew the gun would link him to the shootings. Deontay and Damonte also discussed who should take responsibility for the gun, with Deontay offering him $2,500 to take responsibility for the gun and telling him that he should accept the charge and take the hit for the gang because he was the youngest member. Brim gang member Nicholas Hoskins, who the prosecution alleged was the leader of the hit squad, made a Facebook post on December 12, 2011. The post said, quote, "Every day I turn more and more into a demon. There was a point in time when I had conscience, when I valued another human's life, had morals, and actually gave a fuck. Been hungry so long all I care about is eating. Don't matter or who I'm eating. Big Nick, 5'9", unquote." In January 2012, multiple shootings occurred between the rival gangs. The first incident happened on January 3rd when shots got fired at a house in West Coast Crips gang territory, with hit squad targeting Crips gang member Michael Jasper. About 6 hours later, there was a drive-by shooting in Brim territory in Retaliation. On January 4th, 10 gunshots were fired into the house of West Coast Crips gang members Michael and Marcus Jasper on South 32nd Street. On January 6th, another drive-by shooting took place in Brim gang territory. Bullet casings recovered from the scene of the last shooting matched the bullet casings from the first shooting, which led the police to believe that these shootings were connected, and most likely retaliatory shootings. Around a year after these events, a photo surfaced on Nicholas Hoskins' social media showing hit squad member Aaron Hurst in West Coast Crips territory, a few feet away from the location of the January 3rd shooting, taunting them. Following the January shootings, on February 19, 2012, the police stopped a vehicle belonging to Edward Laplanche over a faulty license plate light. Officers noticed Nicholas in the front passenger seat, looking nervous. Edward was on probation, and when Nicholas was searched, the police discovered a loaded firearm concealed in a sock tucked into his pants. The officers also decided to search Nicholas' cell phone and found several photos with him and other Brim gang members throwing up Brim gang signs. Nicholas and Edward were taken into the back of the patrol car and were recorded having a conversation. During this conversation, Nicholas said that the cops found the gig on him, which is a street term for a gun, and that he should have left it at Timothy Hurst's house, another hit squad member. He also mentioned that he would be the one to take the rap for the possession of the firearm. The two men discussed potential jail time for Nicholas, with Edward offering to pay his bail. Nicholas said that he knew he was going to get locked up sooner or later, and that he knew it was coming. Nicholas mentioned to Edward that he wouldn't show up in the system until he was formally booked and said that Edward should post about him on Facebook. This was to notify others on the streets that he would be out of play, and also so other gang members would visit or put money on his books. On April 1st, 2012, Marquis Battle was wearing a blue shirt, blue sweatshirt, and blue jeans in Crips territory. Marquis was not a member of any gang. However, due to his clothing and where he was at, he was fatally shot by a hit squad gang member. 2 days later, on April 3rd, Wydell Littleton was fatally shot in the face by an individual driving a stolen white SUV in neighborhood Crips gang territory. Wydell was also not a gang member. The following day, Tito Littleton, son of Wydell and an affiliate of the neighborhood Crips gang, was shot by hit squad members Norman Sanchez and DeMonte Lucas while paying his respects at a memorial for his father. Police recovered 9mm casings from the scene, which were from 2 separate guns. One of the guns was linked to the January 5th shooting. Additionally, ballistics testing conducted on cartridge casings recovered at the scene of the Marquis Battle murder tied these casings to a 9mm Beretta handgun which was used to shoot Tito Littleton. The same gun which was used in the shootings of Marquis and Tito was recovered from Norman, a day after Tito's murder on April 5th. Norman was with Brim member Jamin Smith when the police recovered the gun. The police were able to link the 9mm to the Marquis Battle and Tito Littleton shootings. Both men were arrested for possession of the firearm and were placed in the back of the patrol car. This conversation was also recorded. Jamin said that they found that thing, referring to the gun officers found. Norman then said, "We did this ride shit for the homie." Norman Sanchez and DeMonte Lucas were later convicted of the attempted murder of Tito. On September 19th of the same year, Brim member Clyde Ellis was arrested, and while he was being searched, the murder weapon used in the shooting of Wydell Littleton was found on him. On April 8th of the same year, just days after the Littleton shootings, Nicholas Hoskins shared on his Facebook account that, quote, "Son was born healthy, Crossies got hit. All I need is some dro, and my day is set LOL, #Happy Easter." Crossy means a rival of the Brims, and Tito Littleton would be considered a Crossy, since he was affiliated with the neighborhood Crips. Subsequently, during the early hours of May 2nd, 2012, Adriana Person, girlfriend of Deontay Simpson, was walking down the street when she was approached by police officers. She was then taken into custody due to a curfew violation. A loaded 9mm was found in her purse, and this gun had been linked to the two shootings in January 2012 and the Tito Littleton shooting. During an interview with police, Adriana admitted that the gun belonged to Deontay and that he had given it to her shortly before she was approached by officers that night. After giving her the gun, he ran. She said that he gave guns to a lot of people including Norman, DeMonte, and Edward. However, during trial, she changed her story and said that Deontay had not given her the gun, and she just found it and decided to keep it. Although she first claimed to officers that Deontay was the father of her child during trial, she said that she was just dating him and did not know who her child's father was. In the interview with the police, Adriana also revealed that Deontay had asked her to shoot a member of a rival gang, but she told him that she was scared to do that. Adriana also said that Deontay was running for the hit squad, he was the one in charge of getting the guns for the gang, and that he was somebody that was highly admired. She mentioned how Deontay had supplied firearms to fellow Brim gang members such as Norman, DeMonte, and Edward, and told them to put in work for the gang. During another interview, Adriana identified baby Mikey as Nicholas Hoskins, also known as Big Nick, and confirmed his membership in the gang. Adriana also named other gang members, including Mikeen Price and Sherbley Gordon, who were about that life and guns, and that Edward had brought them into the gang. She said that Edward had formed the Hound Unit, another subset of the Brims, and he about that life. On May 9, 2012, Nicholas posted on Facebook, challenging his ops, telling them that they were on the street if they wanted to come find them. His Facebook post stated, quote, "Sue whoop to demotion N-words. Hudda to my block boys. We out here #Brim gang, basement views hit." The following day, Nicholas posted on Facebook, quote, "I'm making a lot of stupid decisions, but I don't give a fuck. Deal with the consequences when they get there. #Yobo. Yobo meaning, you only brim once." Days after the Facebook posts on May 11th, 2012, Clyde Thompson was ambushed and shot multiple times outside the Black Sabbath motorcycle club in neighborhood Crips territory. Clyde was not a gang member. Law enforcement discovered 5 expended .40 caliber casings at the scene of the shooting. On June 4th, Brim member Calvin Hunt was arrested for an outstanding warrant and taken to jail for processing. Police officers then found a loaded Smith & Wesson .40 caliber handgun on the floorboard of the back seat of their patrol car where Calvin was seated. The police later connected the casings in the Clyde Thompson murder to the gun, which had Clyde's DNA on it. It was later found out that this gun was passed around different gang members to use. On August 17, 2012, officers from the gang suppression team encountered Nicholas and another male standing in front of a house on Florence Street. They questioned them under the guise of a curfew violation, even though Nicholas was 19 years old during this time. Nicholas initially attempted to walk away from the officers. However, when the officers asked him about his information, he provided them with a fake name. The unidentified man who was with Nicholas then walked into the backyard, and during a later search of the backyard by officers, a loaded .357 revolver was found. On December 21st, 2012, Nicholas posted on Facebook, quote, "Willing to die for gang signs. Yeah, that." Approximately 2 months later, on February 14th, 2013, he posted photos of himself throwing up the CK hand sign with the caption, "Spell it, Big Nick. Tell he really about his CKs." On June 18th, 2013, Miranda White booked a hair appointment with DeAndre Southall at his home. When DeAndre opened the door, Brandon Orchard stepped out from behind Miranda, said, "What's up, blood?" and shot him in the chest before fleeing with Miranda. DeAndre was not a gang member. The following day, Edward Paris posted a photo on his public Facebook account showing himself and other Brim members including Brandon, Mikeen, and Ramen Taylor throwing up gang signs and holding weapons. The post was captioned, "Crabs say the Brims ain't here. Don't near N-word won't war with us." Officers from the gang suppression team saw this post, and they attempted to locate the weapons by approaching Brim gang members at their known gathering spots. The officers saw a group of Brims at Mountain View Park, and they later observed John T. Jones, a confirmed Brim gang member, throwing away a .22 caliber revolver in a nearby trash can. It was later confirmed to be the same weapon used in the murder of DeAndre Southall, with Brandon's DNA being found on it. Edward and Brandon were also a part of the group in the park, wearing the same outfits in the Facebook post. The gang suppression team officers then arrested several individuals at the park, including Edward and Deontay. The two men were placed in the back of a patrol car together, where they had a conversation which was recorded. During their conversation, Deontay expressed his loyalty and allegiance to the Brim gang and talked about the hit squad. Edward was a young gang member, and he told Deontay that he thought he was going to jail. Deontay told him that he knew what he signed up for by becoming a gang member. Deontay also said, "You all took Grim Reaper from me." This referred to gang member Adam Lembrick, who was incarcerated at the time. Police took Deontay into custody that day for possession of a controlled substance with the intent to distribute and recklessly evading a police officer. He remained in custody and was not involved in any of the events which would transpire after this. On August 27, 2013, at approximately 5 p.m., Byrese Taylor, who was affiliated with the Lincoln Park Bloods, was walking home in West Coast Crips territory. Lincoln Park Bloods were Brim allies. As he was walking, a white minivan registered to Timothy Hurst drove past him, and a passenger in the minivan leaned out of the window and started shooting at Byrese. The shooter was described as a black male wearing a black shirt with a red bandana covering his face. The shooter was not positively identified. 2 days after the shooting, Timothy was arrested while driving the minivan, and later pled guilty for his role in the shooting. The shooting appeared to be a mistake since Byrese was not a rival gang member, but a member of a gang allied with the Brims. Officers collected .40 caliber casings from the scene, and the gun used in the shooting was later recovered from other hit squad gang members and was used in 2 other shootings committed in October 2013, which we will talk about in detail later on in the video. Additionally, the minivan was impounded, and the police found a mix of DNA on the passenger side from at least 4 individuals, with Nicholas Hoskins identified as a potential major contributor to the mixture. However, Nicholas and Timothy had been longtime friends, as their grandmothers were neighbors. They had grown up together and maintained a close friendship. To link Nicholas to the Byrese Taylor shooting, the prosecution introduced several photos of Nicholas and other gang members that were taken in the vicinity of the shooting. This included a photograph uploaded to Nicholas's Facebook account on February 21, 2013 of Timothy near the Memorial Recreation Center, a West Coast Crips hangout, throwing up Brim and Crip Killer hand signs. This location was about a mile away from the shooting location. The prosecution stated that these photos were evidence that the two were laying the groundwork for the Byrese Taylor shooting. Additionally, on the morning of August 27th, 7 hours before the shooting, Edward had posted photos on Instagram showing himself and Nicholas in West Coast Crips territory, also about a mile from the shooting location, throwing up gang signs and challenging the Crips and promoting killing them. In one of the photos, Nicholas and Edward were throwing up a W for West Coast with one hand and flipping the camera off with their other hand. After Timothy was taken into custody for the Byrese Taylor shooting, there was a series of messages exchanged between Timothy's girlfriend, Brittany Marie Brown, and Nicholas starting on December 14, 2013. In the initial message, Brittany mentioned that Timothy wanted Nicholas to email him about what's going on in the streets. 10 days later, Brittany messaged Nicholas saying, "I got info on the case, and Tim wants me to talk to you in person, ASAP. Let me know if I can come by. Byrese Taylor. Handle that accordingly." A few days later, Brittany asked Nicholas when he was going to look at the paperwork. Nicholas responded that he would try to look at it the next day, saying, "I got at him. He said he's not about to testify. He wants to know what the paperwork say. Take a pic and send it to my email." Byrese Taylor had given a statement to law enforcement, which was referenced in a police report. Brittany obtained a copy of this report through discovery and shared it with Nicholas. Nicholas referenced this report in a message to Brittany asking, "Is that all they have against him?" Brittany replied, "No, multiple other witnesses too. It's a whole stack of shit." On December 31, 2013, there were further messages exchanged between Nicholas and Brittany. Nicholas: This N-word even put it on Lincoln. SMH LOL. Brittany. Now he lying. And Aaron is my witness. I showed him the paperwork last night. Hold on. I'm finna show you. Nicholas. He said on Lincoln he not going to testify. Brittany. He better not. Brittany and Nicholas also talked about other police reports they reviewed. Nicholas. But this the only one saying they seen anything. Brittany. Now other people are all saying a guy hanging out the front seat shooting with a red rag around their face. Also a car was shot nearby, and they have a bullet, I think. Nicholas. Triv. Brittany. I'm hoping all goes well. IDK, what else to say? Seems like they have enough, but not really. Nicholas. Not really. It wasn't too good of a pick. Did anything come up on the van? Brittany. I think just a palm print, but I think that's it. Email him and tell him that the thing is taken care of. Also tell him about the other guy. Nicholas. Okay. Byrese Taylor, a member of the Lincoln Park gang, who normally would be an ally of Brim, risked his safety by cooperating with law enforcement. This cooperation exposed him to danger, especially as police reports were being shared via Facebook. There were exchanges between Nicholas and Byrese on Nicholas's Facebook account. On December 31st, Nicholas messaged Byrese saying, "Hey, Gangster, I ain't on no disrespect. Nothing of the sort. I just want you to know I go the papers on an incident with my boy. And I want to ask you to please don't testify on TB so we can beat his case. It's Triv now, but if you leave it be, he'll beat it. I won't share this paper. Nothing. I just want my bro to come home." TB stood for Tim Brim, Timothy Hurst's nickname. The comment about not sharing this paper meant that Nicholas would not share the paperwork with anyone, and therefore no one would know that Byrese was a snitch. Byrese replied to Nicholas on Lincoln, "I'm not testifying on blood. What the paperwork say?" Nicholas said, "Brim that. When I get home tomorrow, I'ma take a pic and send a pic and Brim that." On January 7th, 2014, Byrese sent Nicholas a Facebook message that said, "What's up?" 2 days later, Nicholas replied, "What do you mean?" On January 10th, Byrese wrote, "I've been hearing your name," and the next day Nicholas asked, "Who said my name?" On January 12th, Byrese wrote, "I went to the Vista, and people speaking on your name about I'm snitching." Vista is Bay Vista Apartments, which was in Lincoln Park territory. Byrese was telling Nicholas that other gang members told him that Nicholas was saying that Byrese had been snitching. During the back and forth messages between them, Byrese was concerned about his reputation being tarnished by rumors of him snitching, and he was asking Nicholas why he was telling everyone he was a snitch. Nicholas, in response, mentioned having the paperwork and threatened him to go to Bay Vista to knock out one of your homies, and that he had the right to talk about anybody who was snitching. Byrese denied being a snitch and asked Nicholas when he would be coming down to his set. Nicholas replied, 2 o'clock. "And we're going to read your shit to Bay Vista after the fade. As a matter of fact, I'm about to post the shit on FB." Byrese then told Nicholas, "Do your thing, G." Nicholas and Brittany continued their conversation on January 8th. They discussed the discovery of a gun and how the police were searching it for fingerprints. Brittany said that she spoke to Timothy and that she is proud of him for staying solid. Nicholas said that it would take a lot to break him. He added, "Tell Tim it's getting funky with the L's. His snitch called me out, and they riding with him saying he ain't snitching." The conversation continued with Nicholas saying that he wanted to post the paperwork and make it worldwide. Brittany mentioned that Byrese was in court and will be back again on the 25th, and that he said that he didn't know it was Timothy who shot him, and that his auntie was the one who called the cops. She said that Timothy looked heated seeing Byrese. She further added that Byrese had kept asking her about what the cops have regarding evidence, and she told him that she didn't know. Byrese then gave her his number and begged her to have Timothy call him, but she told him that he won't. Nicholas then asked Brittany for Byrese's phone number, which she gave him. About 6 months following Timothy's arrest and the exchange of Facebook messages related to the shooting, on February 27th, 2014, Nicholas made a threatening post directed at Timothy on Facebook. In the post, Nicholas said, "I switch up on N-word, fast. I love my bros, but I'm truer to the code shit. I turn on TB if he does some gay shit and vice versa. Nothing personal. #1 Brims." Timothy Hurst was eventually convicted for the Byrese Taylor shooting. 2 more shootings involving Brim gang members occurred in October 2013. The first incident took place on October 22nd. A West Coast Crips affiliate was standing in front of a well-known house belonging to the gang when a car passed by and started shooting at the house. This house was near the border of territory claimed by neighborhood Crips and West Coast Crips. The West Coast Crips affiliate was hit by a bullet in his left abdomen as he ran towards the door of the house. The following day, the Brims shot at 3 men in a garage at an apartment near East Lexington Street in El Cajon. A West Coast Crips affiliate called Gary Antione lived in an adjacent apartment. The gun used in this shooting was recovered from Brim members Stephen Mahaney and Nino Sanchez and was linked to the August 27th shooting of Byrese Taylor and the October 22nd shooting. In November 2013, Edward posted a few status updates on his Facebook account that talked about going to war with West Coast Crips and warned anyone who was not a Brim gang member about trespassing on their territory. One of his posts said, "Hit my block, red rags and guns out." A month later, on December 14th, 2013, Norman Spencer and Thomas Williamson were standing in the driveway of a house in Brim territory. Norman was an affiliate of O'Farrell Park and a Brim rival, and Thomas was an associate of West Coast Crips. While in the driveway, Norman was shot in the foot as he tried running away, and Thomas was shot in his right calf. Norman had to get one of his toes amputated. Officers recovered 18 expended 9mm casings from 2 firearms and a loaded magazine for a semi-automatic handgun on the scene. Nino Sanchez's DNA was found on this magazine. Moreover, a gun used in this shooting was later found in possession of Mikeen Price on January 15th. The day after the shooting, several individuals were gathered outside a home on 32nd Street in the middle of West Coast Crips gang territory. 2 unidentified black males in black hooded sweatshirts started walking towards the house. They ended up splitting up as they got closer to the house and started shooting at the group. Robert Shannon, a member of the West Coast Crips gang, was sitting at the table outside the home when the shots were fired. Officers recovered 1 expended .40 caliber casing and 11 expended 9mm casings from the scene. Ballistics testing linked 8 of the 9mm casings to the firearm used in shootings that occurred on March 2, 2014, April 12th and April 15, 2014, which we will detail later on in the video. One of the guns used in this shooting was linked to the Norman Spencer and Thomas Williamson shooting. The day after the 2nd December shooting, Nicholas made a Facebook post saying, "I'm tired of grinding, fighting, running, jail, death, stress, betrayal, and everything else this game has to offer. But it's what we signed up for, right?" A month later, on January 13th, he posted a Facebook status saying, "Violence may be the easy thing to do, but I like easy. It makes sense. #9s. He posted again that same day saying, "Never back down. It's the motherfucking motto." 2 days later, the gang suppression team officers conducted a traffic stop where Mikeen was in the front passenger seat. He was arrested by officers, and although he tried to resist, he was handcuffed and searched. Officers found a loaded .40 caliber semi-automatic gun in his waistband. After finding the gun, Mikeen started smiling. This gun was linked to the December shootings. Mikeen made a jailhouse call to Brim member Emmanuel Peavy, telling him that he had been arrested with the gun and would take the blame for it. On January 29th, 2014, gang suppression team officers saw Victor Ware near Lincoln Park High School. When he was searched, officers found a loaded 9mm handgun tucked into his waistband. He was arrested, and after he got booked, he made a phone call from jail to a woman where he told her that he got arrested with 1 Challenger gun and said that he needed to slow down because he was doing a gang of shit and was glad he only got locked up for that. On March 2nd, 2014, Nicholas posted on Facebook saying, "I realize why they want me off the streets. I'm a loose cannon. Unpredictable. Threat to society and myself. LOL. #bucket." That same day, West Coast Crips affiliate Carlton Blue and his girlfriend were shot at in West Coast Crips territory. A silver Ford Taurus was spotted driving in the area before the shooting. The shooter, who was African American, wore a gray and black beanie with a red ball on top and a gray or black hooded sweater. The gun used in the shooting had also been linked to 3 other shootings involving Brim gang members, and the same silver Taurus was linked to a shooting on April 15th, which we will detail later on in the video. Shortly after the shooting, Nicholas, who was Facebook friends with Carlton Blue, posted a disrespectful message on Facebook towards West Coast Crips, suggesting that they were not actual gangsters. He said, "That's some gay shit. Not gangster. You all get back. Tagging in the set. That's all your dead homies worth. That's why I call y'all crabs." About a week later, on March 10th, Nicholas posted on Facebook saying, "No one could ever harm me, stop me, none of that." Why? Because I don't give a fuck about nothing. Can't hurt an N-word that don't give a fuck. And about a week after that, Nicholas posted again saying, "My occupation, steal, kill, and deal. Everything got a price, even your life." Lamont Holman was eventually charged with the March 2nd shooting. On the afternoon of March 25th, 2014, Victor Ware drove his gold Lexus into the most active area in West Coast Crips territory at that time several times, and eventually made a U-turn at the intersection of 32nd Street and K Street. The passenger riding with him fired several shots at West Coast Crips member Monty Webbs. The shooter was described as a young African-American male with cornrows wearing a black hoodie and a red and white shirt. The shooter then got out of the car and chased Monte while firing his weapon. Officers collected 9mm casings from the scene, and they were all from the same gun. The officers could not link those casings to any other shooting. Surveillance cameras captured Victor driving around the area. 8 minutes after the shooting, the officers found the gold Lexus abandoned a mile away from the shooting location. Inside the car was a letter addressed to a Lincoln Park gang member. The letter had the name Victor Boston on it, which was Victor's nickname. In the letter, he stated that he was the one who bought the Lexus. The letter had a lot of references to Brim and CK. Victor said that he would be taking responsibility for the guns that were found by the police. Quote, "I'm hella triv out here, squad. I might looking at some time myself. They found 2 challies of mine, and that little sawed off with my print, bro. I have nothing to talk about. I'll take it all on the chin. Then do it again. Brim gang." The letter also mentioned that things were getting weird because there were possible snitches within the gang. At the bottom of the letter, Victor said, "I'm not on paperwork." Victor signed the letter $, which stands for Hit Squad. On the night of April 12, 2014, a black car with tinted windows pulled up where members of the West Coast Crips gang were present outside a home. Emmanuel Peavy and Lamont Holman approached Gregory Benton, a Crips member, and his cousin. One of the men asked, "How's that Brim life?" before opening fire on Gregory, who lost his life after being shot 9 times. Gregory's cousin managed to escape unharmed. Shots were also fired at a group of individuals who were outside the home who quickly ran for cover. Officers recovered 19 spent 9mm casings at the crime scene that had been fired from 2 different guns. DNA belonging to Emmanuel and Lamont was discovered on these casings. After their arrests, law enforcement recorded a conversation in a holding cell between Emmanuel and Lamont, where they discussed the murder and the discovery of their DNA on the shell casings. Lamont said, "No doubt. We f***ed up, homie." On April 15th, a few days after the Gregory Benton murder, at approximately 2:10 a.m., Dereck Trailer, an associate of the West Coast Crips gang, and 2 other individuals were hanging out in an area which was controlled by the Crips, and it was known that Crips hung out there frequently. The same silver Ford Taurus, which was used in the March 2nd shooting of Carlton Blue, was parked nearby. Emmanuel then got out of the driver's seat and approached the 3 males and asked them, "This is Crip, this is Crip." Dereck responded, "Ain't nobody on no gangbanging shit out here." Emmanuel then pulled a semi-automatic gun out of his waistband, and as Dereck put his hand up and started running, Emmanuel started shooting. 7 rounds were fired at Dereck, and he was hit by a bullet in the foot. Emmanuel ran back to the car, which then sped away. Further investigation revealed that Emmanuel's girlfriend had rented the Taurus on February 15th. After Dereck Trailer's shooting, Nicholas made several Facebook posts, including one on the day of the shooting that said, "I ain't going to survive too much longer in Dago. Too much shit going on and I can't keep my ass out of the mix." Dago is slang for San Diego. Emmanuel Peavy was eventually charged with the April shootings. Between April 9th, 2012 and May 10th, 2014, members of the Brim gang used social media platforms to brag about their crimes and their animosity towards the Crips due to the murder of Dereck Peppers. On April 20th, 2012, just days after Dereck's murder. Brim member Jamin Smith sent a private Facebook message to Nicholas and Edward, which said, "Dispo. Y'all stay on y'all C187K, tip K." Nicholas replied, "Yep." The C187K stood for homicide and Crip killing. Along with photos of the gang members throwing up Brim gang signs, Sherbly Gordon posted BIP to Little Red Ocean. "I miss you, bro," on Bleeds. Red Ocean was Brim member Michael Taylor. Several months later, Sherbly posted a status update that read, "When they killed Little Red Ocean, that shit killed me," on Bloods. "That shit still hurt," on Bloods. "So I'm going to kill for him. Did you all make traumatized? I love you, bro," on Bloods. In a November 28, 2012 Instagram post on Edward's account, he posted a photo of Deontay throwing up the Crip killer sign, Edward mimicking a gun with his hand, Jonty throwing up "fuck nappy heads," which is a derogatory term for Crips, and Emmanuel also throwing up the Crip killer sign. Nicholas was Facebook friends with at least 2 rival gang members, and so they could see his posts. Additionally, his status and posts could be seen by non-friends. A photo from Nicholas's Facebook page showed him wearing a bandana over his face alongside fellow Brim members, including Edward, all throwing up Brim hand signs. The photo was captioned, "Rags around our face to beat the case in case N-word look. 5'9" Brim gang. Nap bashing. Toe smashing. 3K, 4K, YH $. The shooter involved in the August 27th shooting of Byrese Taylor was described as having a red bandana covering his face and notably couldn't be identified. Another photo on Nicholas's Facebook posted on February 2013 showed him at Memorial Park, which was in his rivals' territory, with a caption reading, "Come out and play. We out here. Earth is my turf and Dad's hashtag on my turf." In another instance, Nicholas mentioned Crip gang member Tiny G Lock in a conversation with Brim gang member Keshawn Williams. He later posted a status update on Facebook and tagged Tiny G in it. The post said, "Funny how the crab N-word called us all bitch N-words and ran into the liquor store when I try and run a fade." Tiny G commented on this post, "LMAO N-word rolling. Didn't pull up my pants, come outside and wave the car down." In March 2014, Edward Hill, a West Coast Crips member, was murdered. The 5'9" Brims were not connected to his death. This also happened around the same time Carlton Blue had been shot by Brim members. Hours after Carlton's shooting, Nicholas made a Facebook post mocking the West Coast Crips. He said, "That's some gay shit, not gangsta. Y'all get back tagging in the set? That's all your dead homie worth. That's why I call y'all crabs." Hit Squad members Nicholas Hoskins, Deontay Simpson, Victor Ware, Mykeen Price, Jamin Smith, Timothy Hurst, Lamont Holman, Norman Sanchez, Nino Sanchez, Damonte Lucas, Clyde Ellis, DeAndre Cooper, Edward Laplanche, Aaron Hurst, Jonty Jones, Leron Johnson, Stephen Mahoney, Brandon Orchard, Edward Paris, Maurice Chavari, Raman Taylor, Sherbly Gordon, and Emmanuel Peavy were all convicted and sentenced to crimes related to the shootings resulting from their revenge killing spree. Thank you for watching.